Alright, I've got 3 packages here. We're just gonna dive in. See, this one was this way. That sticky is not coming unstickied. And, you know, that's not exactly separating cleanly, but whatever. And now finally we have the dangerous shit. As in, I remember this packaging. This packaging has white crap on the inside, and if I use scissors on it at all, then I risk well, getting white crap all over the floor. Anyways, there we go. So, first up we have Grimm's Notes. The animation. Complete collection, okay. Anyways, let's see. Looking at the back, I see a Region A only. 12 episodes on 2 discs. Japanese with English subtitles. Someone is trying to undo the happy endings. Okay, so I think this is based on... Well, I can't remember. So we got like a Hansel and Gretel kind of person there, maybe? I don't know, it seems like grim fairy tales sort of stuff, except those were grim, not happy endings. So, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Can't really tell. Well, that's that, it's here. It's interesting. Kamen no Maid-guy. Okay, that's a maid guy. Are the other people maid guys? This doesn't look maidish. In fact, she looks like she's a little cold. A super maid who solves all kinds of problems. His name is Maid-guy Kogarashi. You know, the way it's sort of presented seems a little reminiscent of Golden Boy, but the imagery here makes me think definitely not. Basically, if you're not familiar with the anime Golden Boy, the basic premise is you have a guy who looks goofy and incompetent and like he has no business. Ooh, I like it how there's different covers. I'm trying to think if this character kind of looks familiar. Anyways, he looks weird, goofy, acts kind of maybe contemptible, but then at the end of the day it turns out he's actually super genius, but he's always moving place to place so he doesn't stick around. Oh, that's a nice image. Although definitely a little smaller headed than I think the outside. Kind of reminds me of those images of what's her face from Kamen. But anyways, Honey and Clover, the complete first season on Blu-ray. Now, I had issues with Honey and Clover as an execution so much as it. I guess my problem with it was they kind of established why she shouldn't like him because he's kind of an insensitive fuck, but while there's some funniness to the stuff he does, he doesn't really seem to care about. I see English audio, so this has the dub. Region A. 24 episodes on 2 discs. Anyways, self-discovery. And I don't know. There's some of that stuff where it's just like, oh no, it'll be a happy end. And it doesn't feel very realistic. Like, it stays... I don't know. So maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just too cynical watching it. But oh, well, look, it's a hentai, a little Monica, which I guess while it's a pretty racy background, that's something we can peek at. Let me open this off camera real quick. And no, I never show the hentai DVDs themselves. And yeah, that's not the other people's in there. But anyways, there's Little Monica now on Blu-ray. Who released this? Critical Mass Video. Next up, we have Code Geass Lelouch of the Resurrection. This is a steelbook. We're going to take this sticker off to see if there's any sexy Lelouch under there. I mean, my only issue with Suzaku is he's kind of impractical, but that's what kind of makes Code Geass neat, where you have your main character is pretty much a villain, but the problem is he's maybe not wrong. It's like maybe he's using other people, but he's using them in a way that they were needing to be used in the first place. Because it is pretty well established that Britannia itself isn't that great. And opposing him is a guy who's ostensibly a good guy, right? Except Suzaku seems to be coming from a place of ignorant good guy, where he prevents a revolution from occurring because he thinks that's bad, but he definitely allows blatant discrimination to continue happening because he says it should happen the right way, but no real plan for how it could happen the right way. Anyway, regions A and B. Lelouch makes an epic return in the long-awaited sequel to the Code Geass series. Anyways, then we have poster boards. I'm trying to remember some of these characters, because that's Nonali. I think I vaguely remember her. Who the fuck is her? Who are some of these people? Some of them look familiar. Maybe from the other thing? Oh look, it's Lelouch. And 2 cats? Interesting. Now taking a look at this, we have CC in the shadow, and if that's not blood, that certainly looks like blood. And as you can see, it was a sexy shield with a person I don't recognize. Let's see. I'm definitely curious. Feature film plus special features on Blu-ray. We're going to actually try and take both of these out because that's a DVD, and it's the only way to see the image underneath them, which is Lelouch. Anyways, that's an interesting curiosity. I don't know if it's any good. I didn't see it making buzz, but I don't know what I've seen. Love Live Sunshine. This I can't talk. This is Love Live Sunshine, the school idol movie, Over the Rainbow. I don't remember if I had this or not. Regions A and B. I see in English dub. Movie premiere. Anyways, let's take this plastic off to see if there's any sexy outfit underneath that. Because, you know, it doesn't seem to be covering anything else up. Oh. I gotta get this glue off. Those are some pretty outfits. And this is going to the side. And over here we saw, well, I guess there was a little arm there. And maybe if you think the internal of that thing is attractive, that's actually kind of pretty. Although it's weird to draw attention to it like that, so let's just continue on. Okay, so then we have this. There's 9 of them. And more of the same back, I think. They're happy. And they know it, so they clap their hands. Then they have the disc. Well, I'm not sure what to think of all that. Not that there's anything bad about it, just I don't know what to think about it. We have a postcard. No, we don't. We have one of these things. Which character is that? I don't know. It's not the main girl, I think. Well, that's actually kind of cool. Although that said, all my other ones, I think were in little things. Anyways, last but not least, we have Space Brothers #0, the movie. Which, if I were to take a guess, since these look like our main characters except swapped and younger, since it's a #0, it's probably about what began their interest in spacey stuff that probably spawned the TV series that I remember receiving forever and ever and ever. We have Japanese with English subtitles, which I believe is consistent with previous. Both movies on one disc. I can't read that. Includes both movie versions. Something tells me there's 2 versions of the movie. They're both on this disc. Yeah, there's only one disc. Interesting. Could it be like the movie from one of their perspective and then the movie from the other one's perspective? That would be kind of cool. Anyways, there's this week's anime DVD collection update. So, I guess not a lot of update in terms of what I watched. I did watch... Okay, so I watched some Static Shock Season 3 with a friend, and we started this week at the 2-parter in Season 3. The first one, at least. There's more than one, I don't know. And it's kind of interesting because the show seems to be evolving in its storytelling a little bit. Like, some of the animation is definitely becoming more Justice League-esque. But it's also interesting because now they have prologues before the opening. Something the series has never done up until this point. And all 3 of the episodes we watched did that, unless we watched 4. But I only remember 3 episodes. So, I wasn't surprised for the 2-parter, but once it did the episode after that and it still had the prologue, I'm like, oh, that's a neat change of pace. It's kind of interesting to see the show evolve like that. We still got the rest of Season 3 and Season 4, so they've got plenty of room for playing around and doing interesting things. I mentioned before about not liking how they introduced this one character because in order to do that, they kind of had to make the main characters look stupid. And the Justice League episode is a really good example of why they didn't need to do that, because in that one, they don't make the Justice League characters look stupid. And they're clearly, in-universe, more important than Shock and, or Static and Gear. But, but nobody, I mean, you had, the worst it did was it kind of made the Justice League look kind of, asshole-ish, stand-up-ish or something like that, but not too bad. They kind of have a little attitude, I think, in the original series for a lot of stuff. But it didn't make them look dumb. It didn't make it look like, you know, it didn't feel like it had to take them down a notch in order to give our characters a chance. So it was an interesting series of episodes. With my Friday friend, we finished watching Overlord Season 3. You know, I'd seen it before, he hadn't. And this was the second half of it, so this was probably the more interesting half. Which is interesting, no, I don't want to comment on that. I don't want people to come away knowing that much. I just want people to know that, you know, Overlord Season 3 I think is better than Season 2. But Season 2 still has some really awesome stuff in it. Mostly it comes down to Season 3 starting off better. And I think regardless of your opinion at the beginning of Season 2 was interesting, but it was a little strange. It felt kind of like a distraction, even though you kind of knew that the events happening there were relevant. Whereas the beginning of Season 3 didn't. And then, of course, the end of Season 3 is pretty great. It's interesting, the series stays relevant. I've heard ideas on why, and I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm probably going to spoil stuff accidentally if I haven't already. I don't remember. But, you know, there's that stuff. But as for my own anime watching on the side, there actually wasn't that much. So I have two things in my hand here. One of those is, of course, Fruits Basket, Season 1, Part 2. But I only watched 2 more episodes of this. Not because I can't stop or I can't continue watching it or anything like that. The 2 episodes are actually pretty neat, with the first one being okay, with the second one being neat, where it was the backstory for the delinquent friend. I call her the delinquent friend, even though she's not a delinquent, she just has the delinquent mannerisms. And in that regard, my only complaint about the episode is it kind of makes it seem like it's like they toned down some of that stuff to contrast her with her past memories that were being explained. But yeah, so it felt like maybe the characterization was a little off there, but not necessarily bad. And it's possible that some other people may disagree simply about it not being bad, I mean, simply because maybe they were really sold on the character being a certain idea, and this one kind of undermines that a little bit, and depends on, I don't know, like, I thought what was presented was actually pretty good, heartwarming, homely, something or the other. It's like, yeah, I like this, but if somebody didn't like that, then it's possible, well, they could be feeling like something's missing. I don't know. And then for Kaguya-sama Love is War, I only watched the first episode. Basically, I put it on... When did I put it on? I think I ended up not watching anything for most of the week until Overlord Friend, in which case we did some swapping disc stuff. And I took advantage of that opportunity to watch an episode of Kaguya-sama Love is War just because I was kind of curious about presentation. One episode isn't generally considered the fair representation, but I at least wanted to do that to get the general idea. And it's amusing enough. I mean, I think I commented before that these two people, you know, they're kind of presented as in love but not in love. And I guess the idea is they're both extremes. That's not the right way to say it. So basically, they're both seen as kind of the upper echelon of the student life, with she coming from, you know, she's from the most prestigious family in Japan, and he's the most accomplished student, or something like that. And the two of them are president and vice president of the school. I think technically he's the president, but I haven't seen anything that really, from a story perspective, needs that to be the case, other than banter. But the idea is they're seen as the perfect couple. In some ways they're kind of aware of that, but they're also kind of too proud to want to start something, and I think they both see the idea that the first person to confess would be the person who will lose in the relationship, because the other person then becomes able to dominate them, because that first person is now more entrenched in their emotional investment in the other person. But it's mostly just that they are ridiculously prideful and don't want to do it, so instead they're just playing this constant game with each other where they're trying to get the other person to confess or to admit to having feelings. And the thing that makes it kind of potential comedy genius, I don't know if I would say that I know that the first episode was comedy genius, and I don't, because, you know, I'm just nice and tired. There's a problem in that the third member of the student council, the secretary, is a stereotypical good-natured, happy all the time, but airheaded force of chaos. So whenever they try and set something up, there's something she does that tends to kind of derail things. And there's no super elaborate stuff I'm seeing. I mean, there was a kind of elaborate thing first episode, but I guess I don't want to talk too much about it just because I want y'all to enjoy it. But she somehow manages to, you know, make things really weird. And not like awkward weird, but like they're trying to outthink each other, and then suddenly she introduces some new chaotic element. And I think the first episode had one or two examples where they just simply ran out of the ability to think at all and kind of turned into sort of statues, I guess, from lack of sugar in the brain or something like that. Anyways, it seemed entertaining, but I want to get through Fruits Basket, so I was prioritizing going back to that, and I have not been making much progress. I did end up spending a lot of the weekend working on a dance for my avatar in VR chat. Just, you know, I managed to get an edit of Funky Town down. So, with VR chat, you have something called emotes, not to be confused with hand gestures, which are also kind of emote, but you have something where you can have up to 8 emotes, and when you select one, it plays a thing on your avatar. And in VR chat, you're allowed to do you have a 1-minute animation. If it gets any longer than that, then it just cuts off at the 1-minute mark, I think pretty precisely. So when it comes to making dances on my avatars that are contained within that, you need a 1-minute edit of the song. That's pretty much going to be, okay, this is the part I want to listen to, I want to see my avatar dancing to, I want other people to experience. And in this case it was Funky Town, and the trick with Funky Town is, you know, first of all, it's a song that's even older than I am. Actually, it's 41 years old, isn't it? And second of all, yeah, 41 years old. And second of all, there are a lot of parts of it that are just classical, so, and not like classical music, but just like classic, like, oh yeah, that's Funky Town, oh yeah, that's Funky Town, oh yeah, that's Funky Town. If you don't know that the song is called Funky Town, you can probably say, oh, it's that song, oh, it's that song, oh, it's that song. And there's like 5 or 6 different parts of it with different sounds. And from what I found, in order to get what I wanted, I pretty much ended up, I think you always have to start with the start of that song, because it has that, and you have to do that. But after that I was trying to figure out, can I modify the lengths of some parts or whatnot, but no, it's almost like, I think 1:40 of stuff that you really want, and that's if you're not going to play the whole song, which is kind of, you know, nice. So what I ended up solidifying on was kind of the start and kind of the drop, I guess I'm going to call it. Because the drop has a nice build up into a main chorus of the song. So, you know, the trick is you kind of want to have an idea of what the music is going to be like before you start putting dance moves to it. And I did it all over the weekend, and it wasn't that much time spent into it, but I don't know where the rest of my time went. But it was, I'd say it's one of the smoothest dances I've put together. Now, I don't choreograph everything myself. What I do is I kind of look through all the, I have an idea of what assets I have, but the biggest source of assets is usually Fortnite dances, which is not actually limited to just Fortnite dances, but also dances that Fortnite implemented that are dances that other people have done, like the Snoop Dogg thing. So there's a lot of things like that in there, and, you know, I kind of look through them and take notes on which ones look like they have dance moves relevant, and you kind of have to sometimes take parts of one and you know, you have to create transitions between them that are pretty smooth. And I actually thought that I had some of the smoothest transitions between stuff ever, and kind of the best flow of the dance moves through the song ever. Usually they're pretty good, but maybe they're a little too much movement for something calm. You know, the hands are maybe swaying like this, but there's too much hip. So it's not the right kind of calm music swing, but it's what I had and what I used, and that's okay. You know, usually I experience issues like that, and sometimes I'm a little lazy with the transitions, so there's weird stuff and I just leave it as it is. And then other times, well, no, this time I think I got it all flowing very smoothly. And instead of using like 5 or 6 Fortnite dances, there's probably over a dozen. And some of them are dances that just have a bunch of moves in them that I kind of cut up and mixed together to create a certain beat changing with the music sort of thing. Not dancing to the music. I also had stuff that danced to the beat of the music. Anyways, you know, it was great. It came out great. I like it. But, you know, I guess it's relevant to y'all just because this does mean that it was time spent away from watching anime. And if y'all care about hearing my opinion on the stuff I watch, well, maybe you want to watch me watch more or something like that. And I have to decide what I'm going to do with stuff. And I haven't been ripping any of this stuff, so it's just all been building up. I should maybe organize it in a certain way. I've been thinking of using boxes and something. So, I don't know. I think at this point I'm just babbling and drifting off, so this is probably a good sign for me to end this video. Y'all, have a nice week.